In many organizations, the Kanban method is the best way to get started on a path to real agility. The primary reason for that is that Kanban is actually a very gentle way of getting started. It is simple to implement. It basically starts with where you are and a few very simple agreements. The Kanban method has 7 core practices that help improve the flow of service delivery. So let's look at these practices. The first practice that is perhaps the best well known is the practice of visualizing the knowledge work. When we are doing knowledge work, it's all in our heads by definition, and it's really important to figure out a way to get it out of our heads so that we can collaborate, problem solve, and work with other people and teams to get the work done. This is most typically seen in what people call a Kanban board, and it's often in its simplest format represented as a to-do, doing, and done board, where you simply put little cards or stickies into the to-do column as you have new work arrive. As you start working on things, you pull them into the doing column, and then you take them into the done column at the end. So the next one that's usually applied, but is very difficult in some cases, is to limit work in progress. This is the idea basically saying that we don't want to do too much task switching. We want to focus, and there's a great phrase here that comes from the Kanban community, which is stop, starting, and start finishing. This is very simply the idea that when we are constantly pushing work into a team or into a system of people, that there's the possibility of getting overburdened to the point where literally almost nothing is getting done. The next practice is to manage the flow of work. This means that we need to find a way to match up capacity to do the work with the demand on that capacity. And if we don't match that capacity to that demand, then there's some sort of inefficiency, either delays in getting work done if we have too much demand, or wasted time because we have too much capacity. Next practice is to make policies explicit. Often in any kind of process, there's either implicit or explicit agreements. We want to make sure that everything is explicit. So what does it mean to commit to some work? What does it mean to be done some work? And many other kinds of policies. Evolving experimentally is essentially the concept of safe to fail improvement experiments. We want to evolve in such a way that we run an experiment, we test our hypothesis, we use real data, and we can easily roll back if for some reason our experiment isn't actually successful. Then we want to implement fast feedback loops. So the idea of fast here is because if we delay our feedback loops too long, we run the risk of accumulating directional waste, that we are building the wrong thing without knowing it. Finally, teamwork. We want to have a way that the whole group is improving collaboratively. This is about communication. This is about creativity. It's about basically getting multiple brains working on problems together. And that brings us back to knowledge work. We can't do that unless we visualize our knowledge work. There are many other practices, techniques, and principles that are part of Kanban. The practices of Kanban of visualizing knowledge work, limiting work in progress, managing flow, making policies explicit, evolving experimentally, implementing feedback loops, and improving collaboratively all help organizations improve productivity and agility.